Hey guys, a bit more goings on at the old Japanese farmhouse. So during the year we get a lot of days where little people can't play outside because of rain or snow or wind or too hot or too cold. So we've got this big room back here, and the thinking was if we could put something in here like a table tennis table or something like that, it would give the little people something to do and the big people on a rainy day or on a day where we couldn't be outside. So we looked into table tennis tables, and they were like, the cheapest one we could get was like $500. So then the unskilled table tennis table maker looked into the materials to make one, and that was about $200. And then in discussions with the missus, it turned out that at the missus's work there was two table tennis tables, and one was being used and the other one was broken and was going to be thrown away. So the unskilled truck driver went and rented a truck and went and collected the table tennis table. And the people at the community centre where it was were really grateful because it was being taken away. They were going to actually pay money to have someone take it away and dump it. So when the old man turned up and picked it up and put it in the truck, they were really, really grateful. Oh, thank you so much, right? Thank you so much for taking that rubbish away, because it was big and heavy and it was going to cost them quite a bit to have it removed. And then you've got to pay by the kilo to have stuff like that dumped as well. So they were wrapped, right? Everybody wins. So then we took it home, got it off the truck. It was considerably heavy. The board itself is heavy, and then of course it's attached to a fairly heavy undercarriage. And it's in two halves. But, as you can see, the board itself isn't in bad condition. Could have done with an assistant about now. A big assistant would have been pretty convenient about now. Once it's up, it's okay, it's on wheels. But getting it off the truck onto the ground was a bit of a thing. So the truck cost 6,000 yen to rent for 3 hours, plus about $8 in gasoline. So this exercise only took about 45 minutes. So then, okay, to make it worthwhile, we've got lots of metal that we've collected, just offcuts of things and broken things and all sorts of stuff. So we loaded up all the metal that could be recycled and took it off to the recyclers. So that made a bit more space in that big storeroom. And also we scored 2,500 yen for the metal, right? So now we're at a total cost of about 4,000 yen, aren't we? So, okay, now time to check out exactly how bad it is. So obviously what's happened is they've been putting it up and down. They fold it up, put it away, and then open it up and play with it, and then fold it up, put it away, and all that folding up and putting away thing has worn out, or has made the screws come loose and made the screws pull out, because that wood's made of particle board. So we're actually missing about 12 screws. So went off to the home centre and collected 12 screws. Decided to go with ones the same size as the ones that had been in there, because it is particle board. Don't want to be too harsh with it. While we're at the home centre, had a quick look over here. Look, table tennis bats. So it's about $12 for 2 bats and 3 balls. So, oh yeah, look at this, 40 balls. It was really tempting to get that. But there's the net. So what was the net? The net was about $20. Tempted to buy the 40 balls, but didn't. So I bought 4 bats, 6 balls, and the net, and that was 4,000 yen. So we spent 8,000 yen so far. It's about $80. So then the unskilled table tennis repairman, first of all, just sort of cleaned out those holes, and where the frame, the vertical frame is there, because the screws had been pulled out and someone had tried to repair it a few times and done a pretty messy job. So there was all sorts of bits sort of stuck in between the frame and the board. So just sort of cleaned that out, and then used little wooden little pieces of chopstick to put in little plugs into the holes, and that was enough. Just a little bit in there was enough to then make the screw fit nice and tightly. The other thing is too, those guys, every time they wanted to use it, they'd unfold it and they'd use it, and then they'd fold it away and they'd unfold it and fold it away, and because they're doing that all the time, and of course that made everything come loose. We don't have that plan at all. We're going to open this thing up and use it, and it's not going to get folded up. So one good repair on it should be good for life, because we're not going to be messing with it. It's just going to sit there. So this is what was going on there between the frame. They must have tried to fix it. I don't know what they tried to do, but it sort of made a bit of a mess of it. So all those little bits in there obviously in the way, so I need to get them out of there. So just used a little hacksaw blade, clean those bits out, and then put the little plugs in. So the total repair probably it took about 40 minutes. About 40 minutes, and so far we've spent about $80. So yeah, just cleaning those little lumpy bits out with the hacksaw blade. Didn't want to take the whole frame off and do it all again. It didn't seem necessary, and it wasn't, as it turned out. Just cleaned the little lumpy bits out and then put the plugs in and did the screws up. The other thing is too, when it's up vertically like this, of course, that board's really heavy, and of course that made the screws come loose. But once it's laid out horizontal, the pressure's going to be down. There'll be no pressure on those screws at all, pretty much. The weight's all going to be down on the frame, so that's the end of that problem. And then just leveled it up. Had some little cups, don't know what they were for, little plastic things that were in the workshop that weren't being used for anything, and they went really well under the wheels to stop the thing rolling, stop the thing moving. And then there was some little screw legs on it that allowed you to adjust it too, so just leveled it all up, made it all level. And then time to check out the net. Wasn't very confident about this net because it was cheap, just wasn't sure it was going to be any good. But as you'll see, it turned out to be quite acceptable. There we go. So at this stage, of course, we've got this table's actually in two halves, so pretty aware of the fact that someone bumping against it going to separate the two halves. So decided it would probably be better to stick a couple of bolts in it and bolt the two halves together, which is going to make the whole thing more stable, isn't it? Keep it all together, keep it all nice and stable. So a bit of dodginess going on here. There's always someone who freaks out about the safety aspect. That head is actually quite far away from where the hole's being drilled, so there's no chance of anything getting in the eye from there. So drilled 2 holes and stuck in 2 bolts just to bolt it together. Just finger tight, doesn't really need to be too serious, just to keep it together. And that's that. Now there's this sofa over here that got evicted from the house. We've had it for a couple of decades, and it got evicted from the house because somebody decided it was too dodgy to have in the house anymore. So it was supposed to be thrown away, but due to sentimental reasons, it was kept. So it was like, hey, that sofa could be handy. So it's actually not too bad. A couple of the springs had gone, so it just sort of needed a little bit of a clean up. And then just where the springs had gone, just sort of, and there was a couple of holes, just stuffed it with old towels that were going to be thrown away anyway. So finally, after how many years that's been sitting there, so use the sofa. Oh, and then just need someone to put the bats and the balls. So got some screws that we already had and some coax cable, and just cut the sheath, the rubber sheath off the outside of the coax, and put that in the screws so that you don't have the screw thread damaging the handle of the bat. So everything else that's been done now is all just with stuff we had lying around, so we've still only spent $80. Put that up on the wall. That's not level. Let's get a spirit level. So those screws with the rubber around them now, so nice and soft for the handles of the bats. was fun recycling stuff like that because that piece of ply was just an offcut from something else. The screws were left over from another job, and it was old coax that was going to get thrown away. So it's all recycled stuff. Very satisfying doing that. And they need somewhere to put the balls. So how about half a plastic egg carton and 2 screws with washers on them? How about that? So here it is, a rainy day. Really nice in this room because it's got mud walls and under the tiled roof is mud as well. So it's really well insulated. So on a hot day it's nice and cool. On a cold day it's sort of cozy. On a rainy day like this it's nice and dry. So it was just a storeroom where we kept the bikes and random other stuff, as you can see. But now it's become quite a comfy little place. We had some folding chairs that were actually in another part of the house sort of taking up space, so brought them in here and unfolded them because they can get used too. And we're ready to go. So there we go, nice and comfy. So let's hit some balls. Hope you enjoyed that. More videos coming soon.